The Houston Texans open their season at home against the Washington Redskins on Sunday. BETDAQ has Houston installed as a 3-point favorite. 45 is the total in this game. Now these two teams, probably the two most disappointing teams in the entire NFL last season. After all, they were both division winners in 2012. Both finished last place in their respective divisions last year. So not surprisingly, we have a lot of new faces on both these teams, starting at the top. Jay Gruden, the new head coach in Washington. Bill O'Brien has been handed the reins in Houston. That means there's more newness and unpredictability in this matchup than we have in most Week 1 matchups, which makes handicapping this game a little bit tricky, no question about it. That being said, I do have a definite Houston lean here, primarily because of their defense. The Texans have a solid defense. Not many people realize that despite how bad the Texans were as a whole last season, they played well on the defensive side of the ball. They finished 7th in total defense, meaning yards allowed. They should be even better this season. Brian Cushing, an impact player at the linebacker position, is now back in the lineup after missing most of last season with injury. And of course, the Texans spent the #1 overall pick in May's draft on defensive end Jadeveon Clowney, an athletic freak out of South Carolina. Of course, Houston already has the best defensive player in the entire NFL on their defensive line in J.J. Watt. Now they've bookended that line with Clowney. Those two, assuming they can stay healthy, are going to terrorize opposing quarterbacks for years to come. And I think that might start this Sunday with Robert Griffin III and these Washington Redskins. Griffin has not looked very comfortable this preseason in this new Jay Gruden offense. I know it's a preseason and you can't tell much from the preseason, but there's two Robert Griffins we've seen. The Robert Griffin from his rookie year, who was one of the NFL's most exciting and dynamic players, and the Robert Griffin of last season, who was not one of the better starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Now, I know a lot of that had to do possibly with Griffin coming back from a knee injury too soon, maybe losing some of his confidence as a result. We don't know. It's just speculation. But the Griffin we've seen in the preseason, that's all we have to go on at this point, looked more like the Robert Griffin we saw last year than the Robert Griffin we saw as a rookie. I think the Texans defense is really going to control this football game. And offensively, I think the Texans might be a little bit better than most people think, primarily because I have a little bit more faith in quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick than most do. And I think Bill O'Brien shares my faith. He handpicked Fitzpatrick to be his starter. I know they traded for Ryan Mallett last week. Mallett will serve as Fitzpatrick's primary backup, and if Fitzpatrick does struggle, Mallett might eventually get a chance. However, I don't think that's going to happen this week. I think Houston's going to start the season with a win. This game could be fairly low scoring, so under 45 might be a bet you want to look at, but my favorite bet here, Houston -3.